Good afternoon and welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical, and thank you for stopping by. You know I have an evening program between the hours of 8 and 9 p.m. on Metropole TV, and it's a financial program. I like to think there's an appetite for that, and I give a big thank you to Sam Chapat of Jumia Kenya. He's the managing director. He told me he actually set up the African business in West Africa. And he took us through the IPO, the e-commerce opportunity in Africa, all points in between, including the rather hot debate about whether Jumia can call itself an African company as such, and we discussed that as well. So do have a listen. It's uploaded onto YouTube, and really thank you again to Sam. And do dial us up on 8 to 9 p.m. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what we're talking about, what we can change, what we can improve. All thoughts are welcome. Sub-Saharan Africa met Deputy Head of the Transitional Military Council today, not to endorse or confer legitimacy, but to stress UK wants to see taken to improve situation in Sudan. The top request was no violence and no attempt to forcibly break the sit-in. Troops had gathered on three sides of the sit-in, and tractors were preparing to remove stone and metal barriers, but protesters joined hands and formed rings around the sit-in area to prevent them. Africa ACSS says, will the military use force against the protesters? I take you back to what I wrote in 2014. We need to ask ourselves, how many people can such a military shoot stone cold dead to clear the streets? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 10,000? This is another point. There is a threshold beyond which the incumbent can't go. Where that threshold lies will be discovered in the throes of the event. Our demands are clear and have not yet been achieved. Why should we go home? Our sit-in is the most powerful weapon in our hands, said the SPA. They get it. And that's Don DeLillo. You remember the future belongs to crowds, and the revolutionary contingent attains its ideal form not in the place of production but in the street. And that's why they've got to stay there. Because if they go home, if the crowd disperses, goes home, does not reassemble, we say the revolution is over. Zimbabwe asked Britain to help compensate white farmers, asking Britain to help pay more than $3 billion required to compensate white commercial farmers whose land was expropriated, the Sunday Mail reported, citing President Emerson Mnangagwa. The Southern African nation has budgeted RTGS $53 million, which is $16.7 million this year for interim compensation. Inflation rate in Zimbabwe rose to 66.8% in March from 59.39% in February. Month-on-month inflation 4.38% in March, from 1.67% in February. Zimstat. Abu Dhabi's Privinvest is suing Mozambique in this tuna debt bond scandal. It's really been a debacle. Mozambique admitted in 2016 to the undisclosed lending, prompting the IMF and foreign donors to cut off support. That triggered a currency collapse and a default on Mozambique's sovereign debt. It is still struggling with the economic impact. South African all shares up 10.45% this year, third best. Dollar versus Rand was a sell below 14, the Rand. We're now back above 14, but we'll probably do some work around here before we pop off. 1440, 1460, key levels. Egyptian pound 17.335, best performing currency last year, and on a carry basis even better. Egyptian stock market, best performing in Africa, up 15.49%. Nigerian all share down 6.08%. Ghana Stock Exchange down 3.96%. The world's shortest speech by a finance minister on the state of the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, take a bow to the Ugandan Minister of Finance, a man of few words.